I was a relief pitcher. If you didn't know that, you now know it. But I was a reliever, and I would always get like that good nervous energy when the bullpen coach would call my name to start getting ready to warm up. By the time I was warmed up and called into the game, the nerves had gone, and I was game faced, focused. When do you personally kind of have that feeling happen? When does that good nervous anxiety before a show or before doing the anthem, something like that? When does that hit you?
Usually hits me about 5 or 6 minutes before we walk. And when I say we walk, that walk could be to the studio, could be onto the stage, it could be onto a TV show, radio show, baseball field. When we do the walk, I go down my mental checklist to make sure that everything is right. My sound is right, my playing is up to par, I'm properly warmed up. I know what I'm going to do. I know how it's going to sound. I know what to expect. And that nervousness that can lead to anxiety, it kind of like reins it in and channels it into something that I can handle and kind of like, get on top of and ride. I can ride that energy in a positive way.
You're a huge horror movie buff.
Yes, I am.
How did that come to be?
I've always loved horror movies ever since I was like 5 or 6 years old. There was this TV show in San Francisco called Creature Features that was really big in the 70s and 80s, and I used to watch that when I was a kid. And it's just I love the drama, the suspense. I love being scared, and at the end of it coming out going, it was just. I was only scared for 20 minutes, being able to like walk away and have a laugh afterwards. I think that was the initial appeal to me as a child. And also, the whole escapism thing too. I just like, I liked going into like a different world for like, hour and a half, 2 hours. When I was a kid, again, growing up in the Mission, it wasn't really a safe place to grow up. And I discovered that there was a couple places that I can go to that were safe for me. And one place was this comic book store on 23rd and Mission. They used to hang out a lot. Another couple places were these 2 theaters that are in the Mission. They used to hang out a lot too. And, I'd go there and watch horror films, me and all my friends,
Right.
Of course, we would just like scream and yell and throw things at the screen and like, do all the things we weren't supposed to do in theaters, but we were also watching the movies too. And so, it's just one of those things that just stayed with me. It never really went away,
What's your favorite one, if you had to pick, if you can pick?
It's hard to pick, I love the old classics from the 30s and 40s. But there's so many great new horror films that are coming out, and there's so many great horror-themed stuff that comes out on Netflix like every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
For the horror genre these days, it's another golden era. The first golden era was in 30s and 40s. The second golden era was in the 60s, and now the third golden era is right now because there's so much of it, so much content, and this genre is more popular as ever.
What are your thoughts on S&M 2? I remember when S&M the original came out, I was super psyched about it. I got this one all downloaded, been listening to it in the car. All Within My Hands is actually my favorite song off the new one, but how do you feel about it?
Well, I got to say, when we rewrote All Within My Hands to be an acoustic song for, again, All Within My Hands charity shows,
right?
It just turned out so well, and it was just such an easy thing to listen to. Once when we started playing it on acoustics and we played it back, it turned into like ear candy, and we all thought, wow, this is really great. And so when we were getting the set list together for S&M 2, we had to throw that song in because it was just begging to get the symphony treatment. And I really am proud of the new S&M album. It has a lot of different things that the previous album did not have. It has new string arrangements for a lot of the songs that are repeats. You have that magnificent bass solo that Scott Pingle did. You have all the newer material that has orchestra parts on it. For me, there's just a lot. I can just go on and on. I think the playing is better as well. And, the fact that this is the second time around that we've done it, we've had the experience and we set a precedent the first time, I think made us a lot more comfortable with the fact that we were playing with an orchestra, and we kind of knew what to expect, So I think that the fact that we were a little bit more relaxed about it added to the whole playing vibe. And one of my favorite parts is when James sings a cappella and does the Unforgiven 3 with the orchestra. Amazing. Yeah. And then when the orchestra goes and plays my guitar solo, holy crap. It's just like, I never expected that guitar solo to be played out over, 70 plus instruments. Pretty cool.
I'll tell you what, it's really refreshing. You seem to have the same reactions as the musician in the band about the music that I have as a fan about the music. So it's actually really refreshing to see. And tonight would have been the 8th annual Metallica night at the ballpark.
Yes.
Started back in 2013. How have you enjoyed doing them so far in these last 7 that you've done?
And they're always a pleasure. I mean, come on. I mean, to be able to support a hometown team in the best possible way, I mean, it's a huge honor. And also to be able to play the national anthem, for hometown team, I mean, that's just beyond huge. And like, as a native San Franciscan, the honor to be a civil servant for San Francisco cannot be higher than for me to play the national anthem with James for the Giants. Yeah, it's incredible.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And a little birdie, word on the street, told me that in 2013, you and James performing the national anthem was the first time that you guys had done that in front of a live crowd.
Yes, it was, and we were nervous as all heck, because the thing about the anthem is that musically it's not difficult to play, but when you execute it, you have to execute it perfectly. You can't mess up any notes because everyone knows that tune. Everyone knows that melody. From 6-year-olds to 96-year-olds. If you mess up one note, everyone's gonna know. So you have to play it pretty much perfectly. But I mean, the build up to that is nerve-wracking, and James and I end up playing it 4 or 5 times, building up to actually walking out onto the field and playing it, just so that we know that it's solid, together, concrete, and just ready to go.